Let's find out what people say, Kirsty.
Karen's just bought it for a 12-year-old son. She's on line 1.
Karen, are you evil?
I'm definitely not evil. I'm not a bad parent. No, there's a few points I'd like to make. I bought the game for my son yesterday. He was 12 on Saturday as a belated present. All the kids in his class have got that game or are getting that game. They all play online. They all play against each other. My son is a very level-headed, mature boy who can differentiate between reality and fiction. I personally don't see anything wrong with it. You mentioned cowboys and Indians, good cops, bad cops. It's just the way games have evolved, and I'm sorry, but...
Karen, let's try. So, let's say there's a new 18-rated film that comes out. Would you, and your son wants to watch that, all his friends have got it, they're all watching it, would you let him watch an 18-year-old film?
I'm a very liberal parent. I mean, I watched 18 films like Hellraiser when I was 12. It didn't do me any harm. I went to university. I've got on well in my life. I think... You're kind of picking out Jamie Bulger, the murderers of Jamie Bulger. That's not how society works. The majority of people that play these games will not go out and reenact it on the street.
It's very true, I'm sure.
It's just a game.
12, I'll be honest, Karen, even, I mean, you know, I said 12 strikes me as quite young.
Well, he plays Grand Theft Auto, and so do most of the children that age. Well, I don't know whether it's just
I mean, I mean, Kay's point is, does that make it right? If they're all going to go around...
It make it right, but what can you do? Another point I'd like to make is that the people that sell these games in the video shops and in game stations, etc., they're fully aware when you go up to the counter with your child that it's not for you, that the mum's not going to play it. I've never picked up a game console in my life.
Can I just put this out there? What about the fact that these games are much more violent? Are we breeding a generation of young, angry people who want to win, who want to kill as many people?
So, my son will play on the Xbox for a couple of hours, then he'll go and play at the park, play football with his friends. It does not breed a generation of angry children. I don't think that...
Well, is there any point then, Karen, in having rating certificates on video games?
Well, personally, no. I think it's at the parent's discretion. That's my opinion.
And films, the same?
I think so, exactly the same, yeah.
Karen, can I just add, I mean, you know, I agree with you. I don't think it breeds a generation of mass murderers by any stretch. I'm worried about the tiny, tiny percentage. But if you watch that game, and I've never seen it, so if you've watched that game and you think, OK, I decide that is fine for my son, then that's your decision. I totally respect that.
I mean, personally, I have to admit, I haven't actually watched the game.
I have a problem with. That I have a problem with, because if you make that decision having watched it, that's entirely your right to do it. I'm surprised to hear you say that you allow him to do it because everyone in the class is doing it. Surely sit down and watch it, at least, and see what you think.
But if I don't let him have it or watch it or play it, he will get segregated, and he's the odd one out. So
do you think you should watch it, though, Karen? Do you think...
I've watched snippets of it. Obviously, I've
really
caught
boring, isn't it?
snippets of it. I'm quite aware of what the games it involves. But it is a game, and he can differentiate between the fact that it's not... That it is a game, that it's fiction.
I don't disbelieve a word you've said. I totally get Kay's point that it's the small percentage we worry about. The great debate that society has had since the Bulger killers onwards, Thompson and Venables, is whether or not any of the things we do for the majority of people would actually stop that 1% or 2% going out and wreaking havoc. Fascinating, though, Karen. Thank you for the call. Certainly food for thought. Let's have another.
Becky takes a very different view on line 2.
Becky, good morning.
Good morning.
So I take it you haven't bought your child one of these videos yet?
No, and I'm not planning on doing it either.
What have you got, boys or girls? Boys?
I've got a boy 14 and a girl 9.
OK, and does he want to play these games?
We allowed him to play them up to about a year ago, and his attitude at school changed, and he became slightly aggressive towards his sister. So we banned them completely, and he couldn't watch films, even put the child lock on Channel 4, everything. Just completely banned everything over the age for what age he was at the time. And he's agreed with that, and his attitude has completely changed. He's now pleasant, he's back in school, he's behaving himself, it's fantastic.
So you think there is a direct link between your son's behaviour and violent films and video games?
Yeah, I do. I think he became engrossed in them for hours upon end, with his friends as well. So, like, as parents, as a collective, what we've done is we've banned them completely, like, the close-knit friends that we have.
But Becky, so when your lad goes to school, does he sit in a room all on his own, away...
It got to the point where he was actually taken away from other pupils within school.
Because he
was actually moved because he was being loud and obnoxious and
So
thinking
now
that
he-
he
now-
knew everything that was right.
But he's not being ostracised because he doesn't play video games anymore. So,
No, not anymore, no. I mean, even a couple of his friends have become quite pleasant young men to know. They seem to be a little bit better behaved and a little bit happier with themselves.
gosh, completely contrasting view.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't get... I'm as surprised as that for that call as I was with the previous one, to be honest. But I don't get this thing, well, if they don't have the 90-quid trainers, then they'll get segregated. I just don't
Best of
get that
power.
as a parent. I mean, surely you've got to teach them to be individuals, to stand up. And, yes, sometimes they're going to get slagged for their grotty trainers. They've got to be able to turn around and say, so what? You know, you've got to give them some kind of mettle in them.
Or rather than say,
surely.
so what? Some kind of school massacre. Get even.
Please.
I learned it all in a video game.
No, but it was quite hard, though, as a young teenager to feel like you're the odd one out. I can understand that.
It's
and the
difficult.
pressures at home. Because, you know, all little kids, because, you know, you're going to have an angry, sad child in your house who just wants to have the latest trainers. I'm not saying you should give in to that, but there should be a way where you can kind of mirror the two minds together and come to some kind of arrangement.
You've got to give them some confidence so they see that that's not that important.
Yeah, I think, you know, the thing to me is how these things infiltrate your consciousness, you know. I stopped playing Tetris probably 20 years ago because I started dreaming about it. And even more annoyingly, the music would be going through my mind in my dreams. You know, now, that Tetris is a fairly innocent game, but I wouldn't want to be dreaming of that game, you know, sort of massacring people at an airport. It's... To plant that sort of stuff in your consciousness, I just think is...
I just think the two calls said it already, which is you can have two totally contrasting and opposing experiences. And maybe it is better to err on the side of caution. Thanks for all the other calls as well. Sorry we didn't get to them. After the ads, can you judge a man? Can you tell whether you make good partner material by the way he treats his mum? This is what Michelle Obama reckons. When it comes to finding the perfect mate, don't go for the looks, don't go for the bank balance. Look at how he treats his old dear. That's what she said. As I said earlier, I think she's talking nonsense. Her husband isn't exactly minging, is he? 0207 173 5555 is the number for your thoughts. Can you assess if someone's husband material from the way they treat their mother? You tell me in 3.
What percentage of women reckon the best thing a man can do to impress on a first date is say nice things about his mum? 8, 18 or 38%?